Today's video is for those of you attending my annual Christmas fun event. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. So there we go. A little bit better. You don't need to see that thing. Okay, so gather a few supplies and we will get started. You'll need glue, adhesive. I like to use the Tombow liquid glue, some dimensionals, your Take-A-Pick tool, some scissors or paper snips. You might want to use a couple of glue dots on one of the projects. There's some other options there. If you don't have glue dots, I'll give you some other ideas when we get to that project. And we'll get started. Before we get started, though, I want to share a couple of exciting upcoming promotions that are happening. This year, Stampin' Up! Is doing Black Friday, and there is a sale that starts Friday, November 25th, and runs through December 1st. And I don't know the items that are going to be on sale, but there are going to be products up to 40% off. You will find those items under my Shop Now and then specials on my Stampin' Up! Website, debnaylor.stampinup.net. And I would advise you to shop sooner rather than later because a lot of times things do sell out and they are while supplies last. And then on December 1st, running through December 9th, we have a Cyber Monday special, and this is one that hasn't happened before. I'm kind of excited about it. It is a prepaid Paper Pumpkin subscription special, and it's a really good deal. So both of those things I have put on my blog, and they will be available on my website as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. So I wanted to make sure that you knew about those before we get started. And so let's get going here. So we have our basic supplies laid out here to get started, and you have your kits. You should have received an email with a PDF that gives you all of the products. Sorry, still kind of playing with my camera here a little bit. As well as dimensions for some of the special projects with scoring information, and then photos. If you do not have that email or you have any questions about any of the products or projects, please feel free to reach out sooner rather than later. So here is one of our first projects. Now this particular event, we're doing 3 giftables and 3 cards. I'm going to start out with the giftables first, and then we'll go into the cards. The cards are actually fairly easy this time around. The giftables always have a few little special folds and things. So we're going to make this cute little pouch. It looks like this. And then you have some fun hand lotion to include inside of it. So it holds a small little gift. I put this in the PDF, but I got the gifts at the home store. And you can also find similar things on Amazon if you don't have a home store near you. So you can look on there. If you need any help finding anything, let me know because I have the links, because I actually had to order some more things because these are so cute. All right, so let's dump everything out of the packet here. And you will need a Night of Navy ink pad, or you could use Secret Sea or any dark blue. You could also use a green Mossy Meadow, a pretty peacock, cherry cobbler. All of this will pick up from the paper. And the paper is one of the online exclusives that are available right now. It's called Elegant Pine Snowflake 12 by 12 Designer Series paper. I chose this because for this particular project, you want paper that's not directional, because you can make it with directional paper, but it's just a little more complicated when you do your folding and stuff. So I try to keep things kind of easy. And then you need a to from stamp. So I'm sure you have one of those. And if you don't, you can just hand write in something or other. So let's start with the stamping. I have pre-punched this with the Labeled with Love punch. And I am using Night of Navy. And so we'll get that ready to go. So there's your little tag. You want to probably write whoever it's for on here before you attach it to the package. Now, when you pull this piece out, it's all scored. And we've even put a strip of tape here over here for you so that you don't have to figure out that in case you didn't have it. So the first thing I would suggest is kind of trying to find those score lines because you need to cut these. So let me get the sample out here. We're going to cut these all, so we are going to end up with 4 little flaps, and then we pre-cut this off too, so there is a little edge here, but you don't need that for anything. So we took it out for you just so that there wouldn't be any confusion. And so when you do find these, you only score, or you only cut to that score line right there. So let's get our scissors out and get that all in there. I also put in the video the video of the woman that I found this pattern for. So you can look at that if you want to make more of these yourself. It probably would be helpful, especially when it comes to the scoring. And one of the things she suggested, and I don't really find it necessary, but was to kind of round off your corners so you have a little more finished look on the finished project. But it's at the bottom, so you don't really see it, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway just so you can see. Okay, once you have all your flaps in, and you want to make sure you've got that creased pretty good, and you want this to be creased. Now you can go ahead and adhere it. So we'll pull off our protective thing from the sticky strip here, or from the tear tape, and push that down and put a little pressure on it so it is set pretty well. All right, now you kind of pop it open like that, and you push these guys in. And I'm going to make sure one of the rounded corners is the last one that goes in. It doesn't really matter on this. And if you have any overhang, you can trim it if you want, but this is the bottom of the project, and it's not like you're going to give it to the recipient and they're going to go, this isn't all even down here. But maybe if they're a stamper, they will, so I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and trim this corner off too. So you can trim all the corners, or if that's bothering you, if there's a little overhang, you can, I see a little bit here, you can trim that off. Okay, all right. Now you just put glue on the final flap. You don't need it on all of them. And let that set up for a minute. Okay, and I put this in with the bottom of the lotion, so it fits right in, but you can also do the top. See which end is better. That's actually a little better fit there. Okay, and then you're going to take a hole punch, and I use the rectangle punch. It's an old one that Stampin' Up! Used to sell. Oh no, I used a circle one, and I think it's 1/4 of an inch. You probably want at least 1/4 so that the ribbon will go through. And you pull your ribbon through, and then take your baker's twine and make a little bow up here and tie these together. Fingers don't want to work this morning. It's kind of been cold here the last few days. Okay, and then you can trim this up however you want. I used a cup of dimensionals to attach it. I'm going to leave these off for now because I need to write a name on it. So these are really cute little gifts for like your UPS delivery person, your mail lady, your post office workers, any, business that you frequent a lot, maybe your latte stand, friends, family that you want to give a little something to. Stocking stuffer for a grandchild. You could also put some cash in there. That's what I'm thinking about doing for my granddaughters. Okay, we're going to move on now. So that's project number 1. Pretty easy since I did the hard, heavy lifting, the scoring and the cutting. Okay, if you have been following my blog, then you got a sneak peek of this last week. So this is just a little pocket that holds these cute little sheet masks and some lavender tea and another cute little giftable item. And you could also add more to this. You could package this all in a cello bag, um, and give somebody maybe some of those lavender infused socks or a bar of lavender soap, or some lavender essential oils. I did use the Perennial Lavender 12 by 12 Designer Series paper to make this project. I realize it's not Christmas paper, but it went really well with the mask and the tea. And once you bring the Merry Christmas in, I think it works fine. It's also an option if you didn't want to use it for a Christmas gift, that you could use it for a birthday gift or something else. So we're going to pull this all out of the pocket. And I got the sheet masks at Grocery Outlet. They had tons of them here in my area. I'm sure you can find something similar on Amazon if you don't have a Grocery Outlet. The ink that I used is Pretty Peacock, and the stamp that I used is actually from last month's Paper Pumpkin kit. So any larger Merry Christmas sentiment will work. The lavender tea I also got from did I get that at Marshall's or the home store? I actually got this in Arizona when I was visiting my sister earlier this month. I think I got it at Marshall's. And I did see it at the home store. It was actually less expensive at the home store. I think that's the way the story goes. So this gift and the last one that I did, after you get your costs in, they cost about $3 each. So they're fairly inexpensive, and they're nice. And again, girlfriend gift, spa day gift if you want to have a girlfriend. Friday night and everyone comes over and does a spa, and you have this kind of all set out for them. I already cut these out, and these are cut out with the Peace on Earth dies. So let's go ahead and get our Pretty Peacock. If you don't have Pretty Peacock, a different green will work. Obviously, one of the purples would work. Of course, you could always use black. And we'll stamp this right in the middle of the label. Oh, it doesn't look like I got a very good load of ink there. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, let's go ahead and get these glued together, and then I'll show you how to assemble the pocket. I have such a good time designing these projects. It's kind of funny. I don't really know what we're going to make until I go shopping, if that makes any sense. And then I run across these things, and I bring them home and try to make them into something. And I buy one, and then I have to go back to the store and buy, 30 more. You can use either side of the paper. In fact, if you don't want to make this as a Christmas gift and you want to make it maybe as a birthday gift or a girls' night out, you might want to use the other side of the paper, because both sides do go with the gifts. Okay, so we'll put that right there on the pocket. Okay, now this is where you might want to use glue dots. You don't actually have to close this up, but the items do slide around if you don't. You can see this one is not closed up, so you can see they kind of slide around. So if you put a glue dot on each edge, I think that'll help keep those things in there a little bit better. I'm just put that right on the very edge. And I'll use my take a pic tool to move it over, because I can't really see with the camera what I'm doing. You don't have a lot of room here, so you do want to put it right on the edge. All right, now we'll close that up. Now you slide your gifts in. And then you take your ribbon and you wrap it around and tie it on the side. And I didn't make a bow. I just did a little soft knot. This would make a really cute stocking stuffer too, especially if you filled the person's stocking with all lavender products. All right, now I'm going to move that over a little bit so you can see a little bit more of it. It needs to be trimmed. And then we're going to take a couple dimensionals and put this over the ribbon. And it does hang off the side a little bit. So when you put those dimensionals on, you can see I put them in the center. Don't put them too close to the edge because this does hang over just a smidge on the edge of the project. And then you can trim the ribbon a little bit if you want to. Okay, and that is project number 2. Isn't that cute? I would love to get a gift like this. I'm going to do those for my daughter and my daughter-in-laws. All right, moving on to our last giftable. If you've been with me for a while, you know I always like to do a little mini calendar each year. And every year I think, well, are these kind of getting old-fashioned because a lot of people use their phones for calendars? But I still like having this. I set it right by my computer, and I look at it as I'm working on my computer. So I kind of like having these calendars. So you have a kit that looks like this. In the kit is your little mini calendar, and you can see where I ordered them from. Those of you that are attending in person, I did order some extras if you asked me to, so I have some extras for you. They run with a group shipping together 60 cents each. The frames came from the Dollar Tree, and so those were like $1.25 plus your tax. So again, it's about a $3 gift by the time you get all your products in it. Now for your dies and stuff, you're going to find you all probably have little different colors of things. I tried to make sure your bee was yellow. And you can see I've got 2 different colors of the calendars. These are the ones I think that everyone that's doing virtually got sent. When you try to get things from the Dollar Tree, you usually end up having to order them in order to get enough for everybody. And they just came in like this, 12 black, 12 kind of wood grain. So take your calendar, pull off the cover, and that goes in here. These are actually photo frames is what they are. And I found them in the photo section. Again, shopping, trying to figure out what we could make with our calendars this year. I've been doing this so long that it's getting challenging finding something different from previous years. Why I think that has to be, I don't know, but I do. I don't even know if anybody remembers what we did 15 years ago. Okay, so your designer series paper will be different than mine. I just used a ton of little different pieces of designer series paper that I had saved. Your sequence might be a little bit different because I tried to match them. The sentiment I used is from an old retired set, and it says, live every moment, laugh every day, love with all your heart. So look for something similar to that. If you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, there's always so many great sentiments in there, you know, even just something that says, have a great day, or love you so much, or whatever kind of sentiment you want to get. I kind of like to have something that would be inspiring to look at every day and that could be useful all year long, not just a certain month. So you're going to go ahead and take your little white circle there and stamp your stamp, whatever stamp you're using, in the center of that. And then let that sit. And then you can either use the liquid glue or glue dots or dimensionals to hold these things down. So we're going to glue this to the pecan pie circle. And I chose pecan pie because it kind of goes with this little cutout area in the frame. And then I'm going to use a dimensional on the back of the sentiment piece. And again, I want to be careful about where I put my dimensional because this pops up over the top of the calendar, so I don't want anything too high. Okay, now you can use dimensionals on these little pieces, or you can use glue, or you can use glue dots. I'm going to use a dimensional. I'm going to cut just a little piece off for the butterfly because it's skinny there in the middle. Goes there, and I'm going to use another little piece for the flower that goes down here in the middle. And then put my sequence on the edge of this and my antique pearl in the center of the flower. Okay, and then the bee. So the bee is a skinny little piece, so I'm just going to do a little daubing of glue. I could probably cut a bunch of little teeny tiny pieces of dimensionals, but I don't really want to do that. Just a little dab will do you of glue. Okay, there we go. All right, so that is our third. I'm going to bend the wings up just a little bit like I did on the butterfly. These dies are from some of the Paper Pumpkin add-on dies that come out quarterly. I absolutely love these dies. This butterfly is a two-piece one. This one is from the latest one, and then this one I think is from one of the spring ones. So some of them aren't available anymore. I always advise people, if you're a Paper Pumpkin die, to go ahead and order those at the beginning of the quarter so you make sure you get them. Okay, so let's move this out of the way, and then we'll start on the next project. How are you guys doing? Okay, this is a super simple but absolutely stunning card. It just uses dies and embossing folders. This embossing folder is from the Holiday Mini Catalog. The paper is also from the Holiday Mini Catalog. It is called Earthen Toned Metallic. And then the Joy is from this quarter's Paper Pumpkin dies. So when you pull this one out, be careful because you got these two little embellishments and then you've got the Joy. And so I packed them this way so that they don't go flinging all over the place if you're careful. The other thing is the foil tends to pick up fingerprints, so try to keep your fingers off of it. And it opens this way. So let's go ahead and get the metallic paper glued down to the Very Vanilla card base. And let that kind of sit. Again, I'm going to try to be real careful with my fingers. So I'm going to use the envelope to push it down, just so I don't get more fingerprints on it. I try to be really careful with yours too, so that they don't show up with a bunch of fingerprints. Okay, now let's get the Joy on here. Okay, this is another one. You could use skinny little dimensionals or little pieces of tear tape if you don't like using the glue, or glue dots. And you just need a few little dabs. And then you put that in the middle of this. These are also from that Peace on Earth bundle from the mini catalog. I absolutely love that bundle. We're going to do another card with the stamps from that bundle too. Okay, and then we'll glue this to the cherry cobbler piece. Okay, and let that set for a minute. And we'll take these little embellishments and put them on either end of the dies. Such a simple card, but it's just so elegant with the products that we used on this. This foil paper just always is so stunning. Speaking of Christmas cards, I wanted to thank everyone that has donated Christmas cards for our local vets. As of today, we have collected 76, and those go to the Old Soldiers Home here in my hometown, and then a few other VA facilities in our area. We usually need about 200 cards, and we are teaming up with the local Ording Eagles Ladies Auxiliary. Okay, I did use dimensionals and to pop that up a little bit. Isn't that beautiful? I love that joy. Those dies are just really good this quarter. Okay, let's move on to another one. So I mentioned a few minutes ago that we're going to use the Peace on Earth bundle with this next card. And here's what the card looks like. So I'm using the stamp set and then the dies and then the everyday arches. So the dies that come with the Peace on Earth are the ones that you've seen already with the labels, and then these beautiful doves. And the paper that I used on, well, these are card kits that are in the annual catalog. And then the paper that I used on the doves is from the Flower Garden Foils 12 by 12 specialty paper. This is an online exclusive product. It comes with several different colors, but I love the silver and I love the extra little texture on those birds. Now here's the stamp set that comes in the Peace on Earth. This is one of my new favorites. And on this card, I actually embossed with silver, the metallic silver. So I used a Versamark and then the silver embossing powder. If you don't want to emboss, I'm going to show you an alternate. On this card, we are going to actually use Secret Sea, which goes with the layer behind the white. But you could also use Night of Navy, which I think most people have that if you don't want to do the embossing. And I actually happen to need a sympathy card. And this is going to make a beautiful sympathy card. So I'm going to make this one sympathy instead of Christmas. I hope you don't mind. I know this is supposed to be Christmas fun, but I want to make a special sympathy card for someone. So I'm going to take the With Deepest Sympathy and I'm going to use the Secret Sea. We're not going to emboss, just so you can see how it comes out if you don't want to emboss. All right. So we'll stamp right in the middle of the white. I'm going to test this on paper here. There we go. Yay. Perfection. Okay. Now we'll start the gluing process. These cards that come from the annual catalog, I'm sorry I forgot their name, but it's on your PDF. So they comes in sets of 10, and I believe they're $10, and you get 5 stripes and 5 dots. So you may have gotten stripes, you may have gotten dots. And the envelopes are also embossed to match them, which is nice. And again, this just turns out so elegant because of the foil and the embossing. And then if you do emboss your sentiment, it really looks awesome. Okay, so you can put your doves on, and I use dimensionals to pop those up. Okay, Yeah, I think that's a really great sympathy card. So, okay, all right. Okay, last but not least is this what's called a Faker Shaker card. So be real careful when you open this one up. Lots of little pieces in here. I tried to be really careful with the packaging. You've got a lot of little stars. You got some embellishment stars, and you got some punched out stars, and you've got the label star. And then I close this just so the shaker stuff doesn't escape from you. But you'll want, if you want to open it up and rearrange in there or anything, I try to keep all the shakers on the inside. They may have during travel moved around. You can pull your paper out and then reline it back up. So it's just pull it open at the top if you need to, and then move things around. Okay, what you want to start with this project is to get this DSP all the way over to the edge and closed up all the way to the top. And then you need to fold this down and tape it. And this is so that it fits on the layer of the card base. And you want it somewhat tight. Okay, so now it will fit on the card base and you'll have a little bit of an edge there. And then you can see it shakes. Now before we glue it down, we want to put our ribbon on. Let's get those guys down there. And this paper is also from that Perennial Lavender DSP pack. I thought it looked really good with the red stars that was also punched out of that same foil paper that I showed you earlier for one of our earlier projects. Okay, now you can either use glue or sticky strip or whatever adhesive you want. You could also use the tear tape to get this adhered. You know that I really love glue, so that's the way I'm going to go. But you want to be really careful to keep this about 1/4 of an inch in. And it is kind of heavy, so make sure you put enough glue on it. You could also use dimensionals, but then it's going to get really popped up and be pretty thick. And we're going to hold it down just to get it adhered. The stamp set that I used on this one is one of the new ones in the mini catalog. It's called Sign Design. And I believe we used it last month on one of the thank you cards, or the Thanksgiving cards. We use this Season of Thanks. It's a good one. I love punch bundles. They're like my favorite. So whenever I see any of those, I'm pretty much going to grab them. So we're going to use the Bright and Merry. You can use a lot of different things. Oops, that's not straight. You can use a lot of different things for the shaker. I'm using old beads that I've had forever and ever, but you can buy little sequins and different things in the store if you want to repeat this project in the future. Stars, snowflakes, there's all kinds of things that you could get to put into the shaker part of it. I love the Faker Shaker. If you've made shaker cards before, we usually have to buy a window sheet and then do all this layering so everything stays intact. And so this Faker Shaker is really fun to me. And I learned this actually from my friend and team member, Val, several years ago. She gave me a Faker Shaker. I'm like, what is this? This is so cute. All right. So if you don't have the Sign by Design bundle, then just use a Merry Christmas. And my ink is real red. Oh, that didn't come out very well. That's why there's two sides to the paper, right? It's also why you usually try to stamp off first and check. There we go. That's better. I'm not quite sure what I did there. So if you use just Merry Christmas and you want to kind of like add a little more to this, you can take a sponge and sponge around the edge to add a little more color. Okay, let's try this again. It's a really bold stamp, so if you hold it down for a little bit, it'll probably pick up a little better ink. There we go, much better. Okay, let's put this away. All right, I did use dimensionals to attach this to the card, and one on the top of each side, one on the top and one on the bottom. Nothing on the sides because you're trying to go over this ribbon. All right, now these little guys. You got all these little stars, and you can kind of put them wherever you want. And then you've got these, they're called snowflake embellishments. They're also from, I think, an online exclusive, faceted snowflakes. I love the colors of them. Let's see here. We're going to go ahead and use a bunch of dimensionals to get these stars on. You just kind of lay them wherever you want, whatever you think looks good. And you can use all of them if you want, or just a few of them, whatever makes you happy. This might be a card that you want to hand deliver or maybe package if you're going to mail it out, put it in a box maybe with a gift, just because it is going to be kind of difficult to mail in a regular envelope. Okay, so you have all those little stars there. I'm going to go ahead and use glue on this one. You could also use a glue dot. This one's a little more difficult because it's so tiny. If you don't want to deal with it, throw away. Okay. All right, now we're going to decide where we're going to put these embellishments. Take a pick tool out. All right, so we're going to take the blue or green one and put it on. And again, you can do whatever you want with these, whatever makes you happy. I actually love when I see people kind of change up designs and stuff. I like that you're creative and you can think up different ideas. Sometimes I learn things from people doing different things. So that's kind of fun for me. Okay. All right, so that is that one. It's all done. This one goes in this envelope. Okay, that is it. I hope you have a great time. You enjoy your little surprise that was in the package before you opened it up. Just to let you know, I don't have any classes, studio classes or virtual classes for December. The next thing that you will see coming out is my annual customer appreciation, and that will be towards the end of January. So you will get an invite to that mid to end of December, depending on the date that I end up choosing. That event is free for my customers if you're local. If you're outside of the area, there may be a small mailing fee. And then be watching if you're part of my catalog club for your mini catalog to arrive next month. And that starts in early January too. And then don't forget about these upcoming promotions. Black Friday, November 25th through December 1st. And then the Cyber Monday prepaid paper pumpkin special. And if you have any questions about that, or you need help placing an order, or you want me to place your order, feel free to reach out and I will be happy to assist you. And if I don't talk to you before, have a really great Thanksgiving and a very blessed and Merry Christmas. Thank you all for joining me this month. I truly appreciate you, and I will see you next time. Until then, take good care.